Hello vinyl community, how you doing? It's Bill with the Vinylverse. Who's ready for another vinyl tag? Past couple weeks, it's been vinyl tag after vinyl tag after vinyl tag. We had the jazz vinyl tag, then the country vinyl tag, then the blues vinyl tag, and then a folk vinyl tag, a hip hop vinyl tag, and reggae music vinyl tag. Well, I'm here to put out the prog rock vinyl tag. One of my favorite genres of music, progressive rock. It seems like people either love it or make fun of it. So I know there's a lot of it gets made fun of quite a bit in the VC, but I don't care about that. It's one of my favorite genres. I love progressive rock, and I'm here to do the prog rock music vinyl tag 2021. So I came up with a list of 20 questions, and I'm going to go through them here and give my answers. And I hope anyone who is into progressive rock would, if you want, jump in and do this vinyl tag. It was fun. It was fun coming up with the questions, and it's fun going through the collection always. So, question number 1. What is the album that got you into prog? So, I could say that the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The Beatles is really my first love in music. I was all about the Beatles for a good chunk of my youth, and this is really an album that progressed music forward, really changed the course of music from right down to the album cover. But as much as this is an important album to me and my love of music, it really goes to Genesis and the album Duke, and specifically the song, which, funny enough, is not really a progressive rock song, but the song Misunderstanding. It was a hit for Genesis. It's kind of a pop rock song, and I was watching one of those evening shows, entertainment shows like Entertainment Tonight, and they showed the video. This is back in like 1980. They showed the video, and we're talking about Genesis. They showed the video for Misunderstanding, and just like that, that was that's first of all what got me into Genesis, but down the path of progressive rock. So this is the album that really got me into prog and Genesis specifically. Okay, number 2. Show an album with 4 or less songs. So, we all know progressive rock can have a lot of times it's very long songs, and with long songs you can't fit that many on an album. But Jethro Tull, A Passion Play from 1973. They put out this album, and it is a Passion Play Part 1 and a Passion Play Part 2. So, one of my favorite Jethro Tull albums. Really great. It's the whole thing is kind of like a play. You got the booklet here that talks about the different acts, and really great. So that's my answer to number 2. Show an album with 4 or less songs. You could really say that this has one song that spans multiple both sides. A Passion Play. One of my favorites of Jethro Tull. Okay, number 3. Show an album on the Vertigo label. So Vertigo is a big progressive rock label. A lot of progressive rock bands were signed to Vertigo. And they've had several different variations of labels over the years. And I thought I'd just go through and show a couple. Here's Vangelis and his album Earth from 1973. And this is the kind of the spaceship logo there. Wonderful album by Vangelis. Okay, and then we have Phaedra by Tangerine Dream. And this is the kind of the twins and a dragon, two girls and a dragon there. It's another variation of the Vertigo logo. And then we have Acquiring the Taste by Gentle Giant, one of my favorite bands. And this is actually on the Vertigo Swirl label there. So yeah, Vertigo it's had a lot of hard rock and progressive rock bands on its label. Okay, number 4, show an album with epic keyboards. So when you think progressive rock, you think of keyboards and keyboardists with tons of keyboards around them. The thing that jumped immediately in my head is Rick Wakeman and his album Six Wives of Henry VIII. I've shown this before. Really incredible album. There's Rick with all his keyboards. So 6 tracks, each for one of the wives. All great. Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. All different, but all great. So that's number 4. Now, number 5. Show an Is This Prog? Is this a prog album? So sometimes there's bands or artists that are kind of on the fringe. You don't know if it's prog rock or not. One of those artists is Frank Zappa, and this is his album Fruit of Lures from 1976. So Frank Zappa, or the Mothers of Invention, are they prog rock? Is he prog rock? Frank kind of created a genre to himself that covers a little bit of everything. Classical, jazz, avant-garde, progressive rock, fusion. So I think you can call some Frank Zappa prog rock, but he truly is a separate category unto himself. I also pulled out Alan Parsons Project, and this is their album I, Robot. Some may consider Alan Parsons prog rock. This album here is pretty, it's kind of got some prog elements to it, but I'm not really sure if Alan Parsons should be considered prog rock. But I'm a fan, and I think he's one of those acts that are just kind of right on the fringe of being a prog rock band. All right, next question. We're up to number 6. Show a prog album from an artist or band out of Germany. I love the band Novalis, and this is their debut album, Banished Bridge. Really great band out of Germany. And another one of those labels that I love is the Brain label. And a lot of German krautrock and progressive bands on that Brain label. So that's one band, German progressive rock band, Novalis. Not really a fan of all of their work, but especially the first 3 albums are really, really great. Also, I pulled out a band that doesn't get much mention. I'm not sure I ever really heard it in the VC. Maybe I've mentioned them before, maybe one or two other people, but Triumvirate. It's another band out of Germany. This is kind of like the German answer to the band Emerson, Lake and Palmer. A lot of similarities. It's a trio. Helmut Kulin, Hans Befelt, and Jürgen Fritz. And it's bass, it's guitars and vocals, and then percussion, and then Hammond organ, or organs and such. So very similar to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Oh, and this is on another label that was known for signing prog acts, and that's Harvest. So that's 2 German bands there, prog rock bands. And then we go to number 7, show a prog album from an artist or band out of the UK. So there's tons of them, but I pulled a couple that you don't hear much about in the VC. First is Griffin. This is a great album from 1974, a Red Queen to Griffin 3. Griffin were they kind of use they kind of have like a sound of like if they were in the Renaissance or medieval times. You can see on the back here we even have instruments like bassoon and like recorder, but excellent band. This is a really great album. Really love this one. And I also pulled out Jade Warrior, another band out of the UK, progressive rock band out of the UK that you don't hear too much about. Really great band. I love them. I only have a couple albums on vinyl, but yeah, they're really, really great. And very cool cover art as well. This is their album, Last Autumn's Dream. This also is on Vertigo. So, okay, those are 2 bands out of the UK. So number 8, show a prog album from an artist or band out of North or South America. Okay. So, a little more modern. We have Dream Theater. This is their album Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory. Music on vinyl pressing. So Dream Theater more in the progressive metal side of things, but excellent band, excellent musicians, really, really great. And this is a fantastic album. So Dream Theater out of the US. And then I also picked a band who some would maybe say, are they really prog? I do think, especially especially a handful of their albums are quite proggy in my opinion, but they do have a very harder edge to them. And that's Rush. This is their album, A Farewell to Kings. Really, really great album. One of my favorites from them, especially the song Xanadu. That's one of my favorite songs by Rush. So yeah, another band out of North America, Canada to be specific. So number 9, show a prog gateway album, one you would use to introduce someone to progressive rock. So I kind of always go back to the band Yes, and a lot of people would pick their album Fragile or Close to the Edge, but I think the gateway album into Yes and to progressive rock is their 1971 album, the Yes album. Even though this was kind of a transition album for them, I think this is more accessible than both Fragile and Close to the Edge, although I love those albums even more than this one, especially Close to the Edge. I just think this is a better gateway album. Yeah. So, leading into the next question, this gentleman's going to become important. But the Yes album is a great gateway album into progressive rock music. So, speaking of the next question number 10, and this is a nice segue from the last album, the Yes album that I just showed, because the question is, number 10, show an album with Bill Bruford on drums. Even better if you can show albums from multiple decades and multiple bands. So I'm dedicating this question to Norman Maslov, Mazzy. He likes to bring Bill Bruford up whenever he's talking about prog rock, kind of in a joking manner. But Bill Bruford is my favorite drummer, and I think he is awesome. And he's played with a lot of bands, and he's done his own solo work. I had his own solo band. So let's start with 1969 and Yes's debut album. Here he is back here. So Bill Bruford with Yes in the 1960s. And then we go to 1979. So the 1970s, and his own band, Bruford. His album, One of a Kind. Amazing album here, with including himself, 4 virtuoso musicians in their own right. So himself on drums, Alan Holdsworth on guitars, Dave Stewart on keyboards, and Jeff Berlin on bass. So awesome album. Bruford were kind of prog fusion, maybe, just awesome stuff. So that's him there, Bill Bruford. Then we go to the 1980s, and here's King Crimson and their album Discipline. Yeah, 1981, had to double check that. So Bill played with King Crimson in the 70s, 72 to 75, I think. Then they kind of disbanded for a while, and then came back with a new lineup in the 80s. Robert Fripp reformed the band with a new lineup: Bill Bruford, Tony Levin, Adrian Belew, and of course Robert Fripp. So I love this album, Discipline by King Crimson. Great one. And then going into the 90s, I'm going to show a CD here, because I don't even know that this is on LP, but Bruford Levin Upper Extremities. So this came out in 1998. Bill Bruford and Tony Levin, both that were in King Crimson that I just showed, but also Chris Body on trumpet and David Torn on guitars. So this is a cool album. A little different, but I enjoy it. But here's Bill Bruford in the 1990s. Okay, so that answers number 10. Now, number 11, show a concept album. And This one might be a little bit of a longer question, but so once again from Yes, John Anderson. He put out in 1976 his first solo album, Elias of Sun Hillow, and this is it. This is definitely a concept album, but incredible artwork, first of all. Excellent album, in my opinion. I love this one. And cool packaging, too, with great art, like I just said. It's got a book in here. Kind of tells the story a little bit. And then the inner sleeve also has lyrics. So, the concept. Instead of me bumbling over it, I printed out basically what was on Wikipedia, because it was pretty good right up there. So I'm going to take the time to read you what this concept album is all about. So, the planet of Sun Hillow is home to 4 tribes, each of which represents a different aspect of music consciousness, which comes under threat after a catastrophic eruption of its volcano. Elias, a magician, is the chosen architect of an ark named the Moonglade Mover to fly Sun Hillow's people to a new planet. He is helped by fellow magicians, Ranyart, the harp-playing navigator of the glider, and Koquake, the mystic and appointed spokesperson who unites the 4 tribes to leave the planet together. Elias fashions the Moonglade Mover by persuading Sun Hillow's trees and fish to sacrifice their lives and substance to form it, while Koquake travels across Sun Hillow using trance singing to bring together the mutually suspicious tribes to unite and board the ship. With the population on board and in a collective trance, the ship leaves Sun Hillow just before the planet explodes into millions of silent teardrops. As the glider travels through deep space, the refugees succumb to the mysterious Moon-Ra, a force of disorientation. Creating an evil form out of their panic and frustration, they are reassured and reunified by Elias through his singing of chords of love and life. The Moonglade Mover lands on the plains of a new planet named Asgard, and the tribes disembark and go their separate ways. Their mission completed, Elias, Ranyart, and Koquake ascend the highest of Asgard's mountains to sleep and become one with the universe. So, leave it to John Anderson to come up with that story and concept for this album. This album, I didn't mention, John Anderson pretty much does everything, all the instruments and singing by John Anderson on this, and it's great. Okay, next question, number 12. This may be a little bit of a harder one to come up with different answers for people that are participating in this, but it is show a female prog artist or band with a female lead. So, obvious answer in at least from my collection is Renaissance. This is their album Turning of the Cards, and of course the wonderful Annie Haslam, vocalist with Renaissance, gorgeous voice, really captivating voice when she's singing. Renaissance, great band. So yeah, Annie Haslam. So what number was that? That was number 12. Number 13, show a prog solo album. Someone who was in a prog band and released a solo record. So I went with Peter Banks. So Peter Banks, the original guitarist with Yes, on their first two albums. And then he played also with Flash. This is his 1973, I believe 1973 album, Two Sides of Peter Banks. Really, really good album. And he's got some guests that play on this, including Jan Ackerman from the band Focus, Ray Bennett and Mike Hugh, both his bandmates in Flash. Then you have Steve Hackett and Phil Collins from Genesis. And then you have John Wetton from King Crimson in there. So Peter Banks, really wonderful guitarist. He left us too soon. He died within the last, 10 years or so, but really great musician. And this is a terrific album, Two Sides of Peter Banks. All right, number 14. Show your favorite Roger Dean cover artwork, or show a favorite prog album cover. So Roger Dean, of course, he's done many great album covers, mostly for Yes, but lots of other bands as well. Uriah Heep, Gun, Budgie, and then the band I'm going to show here. This is my favorite Roger Dean cover, and it is Gentle Giant, Octopus. Just amazing painting by Roger Dean. I just think it's just awesome. This is one of those that I'd love to have a print of to hang. So yeah, Roger Dean, incredible artist. And he's done tons and tons of album covers, mostly for Yes. But Gentle Giant Octopus, that's my favorite of his work. All right. Number 15, show a prog album released in 1971. 1971 being 50 years ago, so 50th anniversary. I could have gone many different directions for this, but I chose to show Tarkus by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So Tarkus, wonderful album by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and the title track is one of those, not sure how long it is, but 20-minute long epic tracks. Yeah, the title track takes up all of side one. Epic track. Great album there. Okay, number 16, show a live prog album. Okay, here's another one. I could have gone in a lot of different directions, and I figured I'd show this one just to show something different, and it's Grabschnitt Solar Music Live from 1978. So Grabschnitt, another one of those German progressive rock bands. They were very, they had it all. They had the costumes, as you can see here, and a lot of drama, but really awesome, awesome guitars, awesome keyboards. And this album here, Solar Music Live, is really, really great. Yeah, spacey, space rock, you know, kind of born out of kraut rock, going into space rock, progressive rock. Really, really wonderful. Maybe not for everybody, but I certainly like it. Okay, starting to wind down here. Number 17. Show the last prog album you purchased or were gifted. So, I just got this the other day in the mail, actually, and it is, yes, Fly From Here return trip. Once again, you have the great Roger Dean artwork. So, in 2011, Yes put out the album Fly From Here, and the songs were written mostly by Trevor Horn and Jeff Downes, who were in a band together called the Buggles, and while they were in the Buggles, they also joined Yes in 1980 for an album called Drama. And in 2011, they recorded this album with Yes, with a different singer, Benoit David, who had kind of replaced John Anderson because John Anderson was having some health issues. And they recorded the album Fly From Here. Trevor Horn produced, and he sang some background vocals. And the album was really good. But then, I'm not sure the circumstances that caused them to redo it and put out this return trip. But in 2018, they put this out, and Trevor Horn sings all the vocals over top of moving Benoit David's vocals away, taking them off, and he sings the vocals here. And Chris Squire has a lot of vocals as well, harmony and background. And Steve Howe actually takes lead on a track on here, which I don't believe you ever had on a Yes album before. So, when this album first came out, I liked it well enough, but I never really wanted to get it. And then a little while ago, I listened to it again, and it was much better than I had originally given it credit for. So I was like, I need to get it, and so this just came in. Okay. Number 18. Show a prog album released within the last 25 years. So, progressive rock, mostly known for, I'd say, 1970s is probably its heyday. This is Steven Wilson, The Raven That Refused to Sing. And this came out in 2013. Yeah, 2013. And what an incredible album this is. Really, really wonderful. Steven Wilson, probably most notably known for leading Porcupine Tree, and then kind of branching off on his own. And over the past several years, putting out or kind of remastering a lot of classic albums and a lot of progressive rock albums, including King Crimson with Robert Fripp doing a lot of their albums, Gentle Giant as well, Jethro Tull as well. But he put out this solo album, and just terrific. Really, 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 really great album. And I'd say that's a pretty iconic album cover as well. So yeah, Steven Wilson, The Raven That Refused to Sing, and Other Stories is actually the full title. All right. Where are we at? Number 19. Show a prog album with an incredible guitar solo. So for me, there was really only one answer for this question, but I am going to show something in addition that's worth mentioning. So the band UK, this is their debut album from 1978. And here's Mr. Bill Bruford once again. But if you want to hear great guitar work and great guitar solo, check out this album. And the guitar work of Alan Holdsworth here. Amazing. Really, really amazing. This is a really great album. If I were to be ranking progressive rock albums, this would probably fall in the top 10. I love this album that much. This band consisted of Bill Bruford on drums, Eddie Jobson on violins and keyboards, of course Alan Holdsworth on guitars, and then John Wetton on vocals and bass. So it says Eddie Jobson, electric violin, keyboards, and electronics. So I should point that out. Awesome album. But my true answer to this, showing a prog album with an incredible guitar solo. So Genesis selling one by the pound, and specifically the track Firth of Fifth. It's the third track on side one. It has, in my opinion, it has my favorite guitar solo ever in it. And Steve Hackett, the guitarist, it's just the way he plays it. It's just so atmospheric, and it just takes you to, just takes you away. You feel like you're floating, and the emotion he puts behind it, and just the build-up that the song has. The solo isn't even his; it's Tony Banks' melody that Steve does the solo from, takes the solo from, but it is incredible. It's I don't know, about 3 minutes long or so. The solo is the solo is about 3 minutes long, and it's just it's my favorite, and hearing it live is even that much more powerful. It is so good. So that is my answer for number 19, show a prog album with an incredible guitar solo. Steve Hackett, one of my absolute favorite guitarists. Okay, now final question. And I don't have anything to show because the question is, what prog album is at the top of your want list? So I have many, but I'd have to say that right up there at the top, towards the top, is the band Frupp, Fruupp, and their album Future Legends. I believe it was their first album. Here it is here. They are out of Ireland, and it is a great album. And I'd love to have a copy. It's a hard album to find, expensive album if you do find it. Music on Vinyl did re-release it several years ago, but even that version is hard to track down. So hopefully someday I will get a copy, but that is the album that is at the top of my want list, or right up there. So, I know this was a long video, but I appreciate you sticking around and listening to this. If you are into prog rock, jump in on this vinyl tag and make a video and tell us your answers to these 20 questions. I've put all the questions down below, and I hope someone out there participates. I have an idea of someone who may, so we'll see. Thanks for watching, VC. Definitely appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well. And thanks for humoring me for sticking through this one. I know it was very long. So everyone take care. I will talk to you all again soon. Bye.